Welcome to the podcast series, Small Business Survival Conversations. Through our weekly conversations, we hope to provide you with strategies and insights, knowledge and expertise to enlighten you as you work to build and grow your business. Here are your hosts, Anna Steinfest and Dr. Michael Troyer.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Troyer, and I'm here with Anna Steinfest.
Hello, everyone.
And we're doing our small business survival conversations, as we love to do, and to work with you. Idea today is to give you some ideas that you can apply immediately in your business. And certainly one of the things we're always challenged with is we always have more to do than we have time. So the question is, how do we prioritize?
Yes, because in the past, we were talking about time management, but again, everything goes back to prioritization of your tasks, which is extremely important. And sometimes it's very, very interesting task to do.
And I think the challenge is to think about it in the right way. So I want to propose that when you prioritize, you're thinking about outcomes you want to achieve, not goals, because goals are kind of general. Outcomes is, I need this project done by this date. I need something else done by that date. I want to propose, for example, let's say we wanted to create a new location for our business in another city to go along with the one we have, or it's maybe across town, it doesn't matter. But we've got a whole lot of things we have to prioritize there, along with running our current business. So one of the questions right away to me in prioritizing is, what do we include on our list that needs to be prioritized, and what don't we include? Separating out the important things from the less important things. Because everything to me seems to be a high priority if I'm not careful.
Yes, you're right, Michael. And don't forget, when you go on this list, make sure that some of the tasks, if you can delegate some of the tasks, delegate. If you're just a single owner, make sure that, you may have to hire a subcontractor and delegate that portion to somebody else. If this will take you a lot of times, if it will need for you to acquire different skill, you have not had this skill, for example, it may be cheaper from the time perspective to hire a subcontractor to do this job for you. So again, make sure that some of the tasks can be delegated to somebody else.
So first, I think as a part of this then, and in terms of that, even that idea of delegation is, how would, if we've got a project, I'm jumping program. If we're prioritizing, I'm going to go back to my example. So we've got to have a space. We've got to hire people to fill it. We've got to do training and orientation. We've got to provide materials, supplies there. We've got to set up a process that's going to go on there. But not all of that happens at the same moment in time. And so we've got to figure out our prioritization, or how are you going to spend your day? All those different things require some prioritizing. I like to separate the big from the small, first of all. There's some things, little things I can get done, but I got to control how much that takes over my day. Got to answer my emails. Got to make some phone calls. All right, they're important, but some of them are more important than others, so they ought to be prioritized. And within the day, perhaps I ought to set a priority of when I'm going to deal with phone calls and when I'm going to do some of the big things that need to be done. And then I've got here's one, Anna, that you've heard me say before. Most people, I think, we're going to end up saying everything's urgent here. And I'm going to say, I'm not going to accept that. I want you to build a list. And when you've got your list done of all the things you got to get done, I want you to put an A beside the most important, a B beside the second, another group, and C beside a third group. But there's a secret to this. Only a third of that list can be in the A group, and only a third can be in the B group, and only a third in the C group. So all those things in the A group that are all most urgent, I'm still going to force you to move some of them into B. You can only have a third in A, because you can't get everything done in one day. And I'm not going to accept your arguments against that. So create the A, the B, and the C. And then within A, and that's what you're going to work on this week, I want you to rank order them. What's number one, number two, number three? I'll even let you have a couple of ones, but no more than 2 ones, and maybe 2 twos and 3 threes. That is, I'm forcing you to prioritize whether you like it or not. I'm going to go back to something we've talked about, Anna, that wonderful thing called the Pareto principle, 80-20. I'm going to bet that 20% of what you focus on doesn't really impact the bottom line at all.
Mhm.
It's the other 80% you want to focus on. So get the 20% belong in C, or don't even belong in your list. But of the 80%, what has to be done in the next 5 days? That's maybe the urgent. Or what have to be started because it's going to take a while. But even then, you may have to sort out those, and some of those have to be pushed into B. Am I being too harsh?
No, and I wanted just to add to exactly to your system, Michael, a little tweak even, or another addition, which will be daily prioritization. So what you do daily before you close your computer, we want you right now to write in your calendar every single day, 15 minutes before you close your computer, to do that prioritization. You look at your task list and you start prioritizing what exactly are you going to do the next day. If you do this every single day, on Friday, we will call this one, you have to block half an hour prioritization, because that will be your weekly prioritization list for the next coming week. And we guarantee you that you will get into a habit to prioritize, and you'll be more efficient. At the beginning, you may have more A's, like Michael was saying, oh, a lot of A's, a lot of A1s. But once you get into the habit, you will know exactly which task will be A1, A2, and which will be put into the B list and the C list.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking right away, okay, so I'm going to build that office on the other side of town. I got to fill it with some people. Do I hire the people first, or do I find an office space to move into? And then I got to get furniture for them, and I'm going to train them. Which of those comes first? That's why we're saying you have to prioritize. You don't want people standing around who don't have desks. But do you want to have a space that you don't put people in because you got to pay the bills on the rent for that space? So it's challenging. I'm not denying it's not challenging. To go back to Anna's good point about delegation, once you've put that list together for tomorrow or for next week, now you're in a position to say, this particular task, that requires a specialist. And Evelina is a specialist in doing this kind of animation. So I'm going to have her do that instead of trying to do it myself. That comes off my list. That goes over to Evelina's plate to do. And now I have one less to do because I've found the right person to do it. I'm not good at that. That's the kind of process we're trying to get you to go through.
And at the beginning, Michael, for us, it may be foreign, and I know we will making mistakes, and we always will make mistakes. That's a human nature, but just try doing it. Just follow our tips. Do it daily, do it weekly, like Michael was suggesting his prioritization, go A list, B list, C list, and then within the A list, rank it. Again, we don't say that you will not make mistakes, but once you get into the habit, guess what? You will be better than.
Yes. And it's okay to carry 1 or 2 A's over to next week if you don't get them done. You're not going to get punished for it. We're not coming after you with a stick. That's all right. But the order of it is going to help you, because I know sometimes I look at the list of things I need to do and I feel a little overwhelmed, and then I don't know how to start and where to start. That's what we're trying to help you deal with, so you don't get overwhelmed. So you know where you need to start today. So you have some comfort. By the way, there's some tools, and Anna, you can share some. The one I love is called a Gantt chart. It's spelled Gantt. You can find it online if you were to go to Google and just say Gantt charts. You'll get all kinds of examples. It's a wonderful communication tool between you and your team in terms of the priority you have for certain things to be done, and the timeline, and all those things that both helps you decide who to delegate to, what things you're going to take on, and keeps you on task. And it forces this prioritizing process. It makes you think through what needs to come first.
Yeah, and there is some other tools, Michael. I know that Asana, more for project management, things like that. Our listeners may be tapping into and look into it, but it's prioritizing, and like Michael said, it's like when I looked at my list, it's like it's overwhelming. But think about the previous night, you already prioritize your list. In the morning, you get into the office, so you get up. If you're working from home, you open your computer, and you have the task list prioritized in front of you, you know which one to start instead of trying to figure out or paralyze yourself and then you just don't do anything. It's you're more efficient. And that's what we're trying to help you with, efficiency, because we cannot have 48 hours a day, Michael, no matter what.
And you're touching on the other side of this failure to prioritize is that then we stay up late and we work a little longer because we didn't get things done, and we get up a little earlier in the morning, and pretty soon we're sleep deprived. And now our mind isn't thinking very efficiently because we haven't managed our allocation of time to the most important things we ought to be doing. So prioritizing is there to be sure you get your sleep at night and that you get enough rest to be smart in your thinking when you are focusing on things. If this all goes together, your well-being, your ability to think sharp, prioritizing, proper time allocation. ABC.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us today. We hope we help you with a tip or two.
You've been listening to the Small Business Survival Conversation podcast. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode. In the meantime, hook up with us on our Facebook group at Small Business Survival Tools and Tips. Till next time, thank you for listening.